What's up, my green beans? We back with another banger. So this morning I woke up today and I said I was gonna watch the Warriors game. I got my Warriors head on. It was for me, it was early in the morning. But I did not wake up in time, so I did not get to watch all of the plays. I had to watch the highlights, or else I would have included some plays in this. But anyways, today we had a great game against the Houston Rockets. As y'all can see, the Golden State Warriors scored 133. And the Houston Rockets had 110. Both Klay and Steph Curry had 29 points. What a game for these two players, I have to say. As you can see here, this is the box score of the game. We have Andrew Wiggins here with a plus-minus of plus 22. The whole starting lineup had all plus-minuses of over 20. And my goodness, what a contribution game for all of these players, especially Klay Thompson, basically carrying the Warriors in scoring. He shot absolutely amazingly from three and from field goals. He was shooting incredibly today. He had 73% from the field and 63% from three on 7 3-pointers of 11 shooting. Steph Curry shot well as well in the field goal, making 9 of his 14 field goal attempts, but he did miss 4 of his 6 3-pointers, which lowers his score a little bit, but he still got a plus-minus of 29 because of all these rebounds that he got. He got 6 rebounds. He got 6 assists. It's just a good stat line for Stephen Curry. He did have 3 turnovers, though. Klay also had 3 turnovers. So that's something that they have to work on is the turnover ratio because, look, you got Chris Paul, 3 turnovers. Kevon Looney, 1 turnover. Gary Payton, 2 turnovers. Brandon Podziemski, 2 turnovers. Stephen Klay, 3. Trace Jackson Davis, 1. Draymond, 2. Andrew Wiggins, 1, right? Like, 1 turnover per game per player would be still a lot, but I understand it if you accidentally fumble or something. But 3, 2, that's a lot of turnovers. They had, I believe, 18 total in this game. Yes, they did. And they still beat the Rockets by 23 almost. By 23. However, one of the most efficient and great contributors in this game that people don't talk about enough was Trace Jackson Davis, who had 8 of his 10 shots go down, 80% from the field, and he ended the game with 20 points, also shooting a couple free throws there, and he had a plus-minus of 20 because of his stat line. My goodness, Trace Jackson Davis, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. All right, that's a great stat line for him. He made 4 of 4 of his free throws, great shooting. Steph made 9 of 9 of his free throws. That's why he scored so much compared to, Klay Thompson, who made 0 free throws and still had the same amount of scoring. That's why these starters have all these high plus-minuses. 22 for Andrew Wiggins, 26 for Draymond, who's just always contributing to the team with 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Also had a clean 5 points with a steal and a block. Good-ass stat line for Draymond Green. That's a Draymond Green stat line right there, and that's a good reason why we won the game. Also, his defense is very prominent. Same with Trace Jackson Davis. Same with Andrew Wiggins. Klay as well. Without them, we would not be doing very well. Obviously, Brandon Podziemski coming off the bench helped us. Even though he was a -4 and a plus-minus, he did play pretty good. Not great shooting. He was 40% from the field, which isn't horrible, but not incredible either. Didn't shoot any threes. Gary Payton was 100% from the field, on the other hand, dropping 8 points. So that was solid with a plus-minus of 3. You have all these bench players playing pretty good. Chris Paul, on the other hand, was not playing good for the Warriors today. He shot pretty bad from the field with 33%, but he made 2 of his 4 threes. He was still a plus-minus 7, lowest on the team, so he was not playing the majority of the game. He had 21 minutes this game. Moses Moody played pretty good, 75% from the field, 50% from 3, not bad. Now, going to the Rockets, you can see the difference between the 2 starting lineups. Dillon Brooks with a -22 plus-minus. That really shows how Dillon Brooks has been playing recently. Amen Thompson -10. He's been pretty good on defense, but still not good enough. Jabari Smith -21. Jalen Green -16. Fred VanVleet -16. So the whole starting lineup is a minus-plus overall. Even though Jabari Smith Jr. had 24 points on 47% from the field and 40% from 3, he still got a -21. Just because of 2 turnovers, man. And it really doesn't help his story. Same thing, Jalen Green. Proficient scorer. In this game, he only dropped 13 on 33% from the field and 37% from 3. And he had 4 turnovers. That's a plus-minus. Should be lower than Jabari Smith, but he did contribute on defensive plays and such. Assists as well, having 7. So he had 7 assists, 4 rebounds. Jabari basically only contributed in scoring, and that's a huge reason why they lost. Jock Landale is one of 2 of the players who had a positive plus-minus in this game, having a +9. And that's mainly because he had a good good steal. He had a couple good rebounds. You know, he had a good few points over here on good shooting, 80%. So, you know, he's a center. He's going to have a higher plus minus than the majority of people who have to shoot. Then you have the other plus minus, which is in the positives, which is Jae'Sean Tate, who played for 2 minutes. So, realistically, that doesn't really matter. So, overall, these Warriors, they are a threat to go into the playoffs against. Right now, they are set to match up against the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell. That's who they're set to face up against. Here, let me go to the standings here. So, once they face off against this Los Angeles Lakers team, that's probably their toughest matchup from this play-in tournament. Obviously, the Phoenix Suns have passed the New Orleans Pelicans. The Dallas Mavericks have passed the New Orleans Pelicans, which puts them, the Pelicans, in the play-in tournament, which means that they would have to go against the Sacramento Kings, right? So the Sacramento Kings, whoever wins this game, I would put my money on the Pelicans because this year they've just been playing better. Sacramento has not been the same team they were last year, even though they're still a much higher than a 50% than 500 team. I would still put my money on the Pelicans, so it'd probably be the Pelicans and then the Lakers and Warriors. It just depends on how they're playing that day. Realistically, if both teams are playing on all cylinders, they're delivering, they're shooting well, they're playing good defense, I say the Warriors win. I say the Warriors are probably one of the best teams in the league if they're playing at their peak. If everyone's playing well, they're one of the best teams in the league. You saw that in the Dallas Mavericks game, you saw that in the Houston Rockets game today. That could easily lead to them slotting into that 8th seed, and then they have a clean matchup against the Timberwolves or hopefully the Thunder. Right now, it's looking like it's going to be the Timberwolves, and having the Timberwolves in the 1 seed is perfect for the Warriors. Those Minnesota Timberwolves have no playoff experience whatsoever. Anthony Edwards, I don't think he's even been in the playoffs. If he has, it was for a first-round exit at the most. Karl Anthony Towns, few playoff series, not good enough to have enough experience. Rudy Gobert on the Jazz had some playoff experience, but they don't have the same experience as the Splash Brothers and Draymond Green, who have been in the playoffs almost every year of their career. So the Golden State Warriors are a really big threat going into the playoffs. Obviously, it's a tough feat to beat the Denver Nuggets, the Clippers, right? You've seen the Warriors beat the Mavericks. You've seen them beat the Suns, seen them beat the Thunder, seen them beat the Timberwolves. The Nuggets, Clippers are the biggest threats here. The Lakers are a pretty big threat as well. But I'd say the Nuggets and the Clippers are the ones that the Warriors have to worry the most about. But if you look at the East, these teams, like realistically, these teams are not great. You know, you got the Atlanta Hawks in the play-in tournament. They're probably going to beat the Chicago Bulls to take that 8th seed. And the thing is that the Heat and the Sixers, realistically, the Sixers should win this game, right? But Jimmy Butler exists, so we'll see about that one. But the Sixers did just get Embiid back. So realistically, I would say the Sixers win this, unfortunately, even though I would love to see Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. 76ers could win this. Hawks could win this. Then the Hawks would be set up to lose to the Boston Celtics because there's no way they're winning that. And then the 76ers would go against the Bucks. 76ers-Bucks is a good matchup, but I think the Bucks would take that. So you'd have the Celtics, the Bucks. This lineup of teams is not what you want in the Eastern Conference. So yeah, as you can see, this is the lineup that you would have: 9 and 10, winner 9-10, loser 7-8. So basically, yeah. Wait, what am I thinking here? A loser of 7 and 8 would go against the winner of 9 and 10. Right. My bad. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting lineup in the East. So here, if the Warriors beat the Lakers, they'd have to go against probably the Pelicans, and that's a good matchup for the Golden State Warriors. They cannot guard Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson off that screen, off that pick and roll game at the top of the key, at the top of the 3-point line. It's not a good matchup for the Pelicans or the Kings. By that matter, Kings did take the Warriors to a 7-game series in the first round of the 2022-2023 playoffs, but the Warriors did win that series and then went on to lose to the Los Angeles Lakers. But the Lakers were a much better team last year than they are this year, even though their seeding was give or take the same, not too many games apart. Realistically, the Golden State Warriors should be able to make that 8th seed, and Pelicans might make that 7th seed. Sorry, the Warriors would probably go against the Sacramento Kings. So this is an interesting setup for the playoffs. Realistically, after beating the Rockets today, the Rockets have no chance of going even into the play-in tournament. They're not going to pass this Warriors team. They are 4 games behind, so really there's no way for them to pass them. So this looks like it's going to be a lock-in for the play-in tournament unless the Suns win or the Suns lose and the Pelicans win. Forgive me. If they do, then the Suns will be in the play-in tournament, which is a tougher matchup for the Warriors, but they could still win that. This is really an interesting lineup for this year. We're going to leave it at that, and we're going to do another 2K24 higher or lower 2K24 rating. And we're starting off with a loss probably. Dalen Terry's probably higher. They're the same. Okay. This is already starting off tough. Close the ads. Quentin Grimes is higher than a 72. Yusuf Nurkic is an 81. He should be a little bit higher, I would say. Plumlee is lower. He's a 79, but he's almost up there. What the fuck? Westbrook's an 81, as well as Nurkic. Then we've got Nasir Little is lower than an 81. That's for sure, even though he's pretty solid. DiVincenzo's higher. Should be an 80-something, the way he's been playing recently. Higher than Josh Christopher, probably, yep. Take that dub. Then we've got Aaron Holiday, who's like a 75 player. 73, okay. The New York Knicks played the Sacramento Kings today as well. Obviously, the New York Knicks have been playing an interesting form of basketball, having Jalen Brunson drop 61 points in a loss. However, this game is a different story. We have Josh Hart with 31 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists. Almost a triple-double. Almost a 30-point triple-double for Josh Hart. Dante DiVincenzo, 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist. Not great assist numbers, but good rebounds. He did have a block, but he also had a turnover. Josh Hart had 2 steals. He also had 4 turnovers, though. That lowered his plus-minus. Jalen Brunson led both teams in scoring with 35 points, but he did have 3 turnovers. He had 3 steals, 11 assists, and 2 rebounds. So he had a plus-minus of 22 because of those turnovers, but he did have 11 assists, carrying the team to a victory. Obviously, you have the other role players dropping 12 or less, specifically Bojan dropping 12 off the bench. You got Miles McBride dropping 12. Pretty solid role player, but realistically not great shooting. Jalen Brunson shot 60% from the field and 40% from 3. Great shooting from him. Dante shot 46% and 55% from 3. Great shooting from him. And Josh Hart, 73% from the field. Didn't even try a 3, and he still dropped 31 points. So that's really good for the Knicks to take this victory against the Sacramento Kings, which also lowers them in the rankings. Sacramento had Harrison Barnes dropping 0 points, Keegan Murray 18, Sabonis 17 with 7 assists, 11 rebounds, basically a double-double machine. Keon Ellis, I don't know why he's starting, but he had 11. And De'Aaron Fox did lead the Kings in scoring with 29, 7, and 7. He did have 3 steals and a block, but he also had 4 turnovers. Same with Sabonis. Harrison Barnes had 3, even though he didn't score a single point. Plus-minus is somehow +1. Doesn't make sense to me. Does not make sense to me. He played only 14 minutes. Harrison Barnes is washed, boys. He was okay on that Warriors team. He's gone now. -23 for Keegan Murray. -25 for Domantas Sabonis. -7 for De'Aaron Fox. So Sabonis seems to have been the losing factor in this game. So realistically, if we go back to the standings here, we have the New York Knicks in the 5th seed here. Now, the Sacramento Kings contributed to that victory because if the Knicks had lost here, instead of being 2.5 games away from the Pacers, they would be 1.5 games away, which means the Pacers could catch up to them and put them into the 6th seed and pass them, which would mean that they would get to match up against Cleveland. Knicks against Cleveland is a good matchup, as we saw last year where they beat them in the first round. Pacers against Cleveland, also all right. I'd say it's a pretty even matchup since Cleveland doesn't have Donovan Mitchell. But the Sacramento Kings did drop to being 1 game away from the Pelicans. Had they won this game, they would have passed the Pelicans or tied with them for the 7th seed. Which this situation of the Kings losing possibly sets them up to take the 9th seed and the Lakers taking the 8th seed, or even the Warriors taking the 9th seed and the Kings dropping to the 10th seed, which would be insane for the playoffs. But we're just going to have to see what happens next, boys. For watching. Stay tuned for the next one. I'll see you green beans on the flip side.